Back everyone to the channel, and today I want to discuss something that most mainstream media and governments say is nothing more than a conspiracy, and that their plan will not only save the planet but will give you a healthier, happier life. And anybody who questions it is a right-winger, they're a conspiracy theorist, but I want to tell you why it's probably the most scariest thing that the establishment plan on doing on the people of the United Kingdom and the Western world, and that is something called a 15-minute city. Now, if you've never heard of a 15-minute city, let me just tell you the concept of what this is. It's the idea that anywhere from your house you could travel 15 minutes and you can get to anything you want. You can get to the school, the doctors, the hospitals, the leisure centre, and so on and so on. And they claim that by not needing a car now, this is the big one, by not needing a car now, it will save on CO2 emissions, that will save the planet. Now, it's obvious. Where they say the conspiracy is that they're going to stop us travelling. They're going to stop us having our own vehicles. Now, those on the left that seem to want to love the government and pretend that everything they say is amazing, claim that they would not stop you using your own vehicle or travelling wherever you want. They would not restrict our freedoms when it comes to travel. But of course they would. Common sense tells us they would. Otherwise, why would they go with this plan? If they're going to build these cities and make all this work, they would have to enforce the travelling. And that is why there's been many reports done where it talks about blocking streets off. So once you get out of this radius, it's blocked off, and you would need permission to even go on holiday, because they would claim that you're using your allowance of CO2 emissions up. They would claim that depending on your behaviour, you was allowed so much travelling. And obviously, like anything else in life, that would get restricted more and more as you go down the line. Take a look at China. China, at the moment, as we speak, has great big warehouses, and attached to them are people's apartments, and this was sold the very same way. How great will it be? You'll be able to live right next to where you work, which will save you on travelling costs. I'm sure everyone watching this video agrees with me that that is no way to live life, and that is modern day slavery. And we only need to look at the governments of China to see that they are dictatorial to the people, and they have took away the liberties. They have a social credit score on them where they can only do certain things depending on whether they've been deemed to be well behaved by their establishment. And the Western world, America and the UK, idolise the way China treats its people. And why do they do this? Again, it's simple, because when they want to enforce something, an enslaved population are more likely to go along with it. The Brits argue back. Look at Brexit, whether you're for or against it. The Brits wouldn't accept the narrative by the deep state, the establishment, the mainstream media, and our governments that we have. And that is why it scares the hell out of me, this 15-minute city. So yes, it's being sold to us that it would be easy and convenient, but at the same time we would lose our liberties, like being able to simply go to North Wales twice a year, or just get away from real life somewhere and have a drive into the countryside. And this idea of giving more open green space to us is absolute nonsense. The idea that these cities could suddenly have loads of green space for them because you move cars. No, it will be like Central Park in America. There will be a green space in the middle of the city, like we already have now, let's be honest. And another thing, most of the things that they mention are within 15 minutes anyway. This all comes down to the driving aspect. That's what people need to realise with this. It's all down to us not driving. Now, we'll talk about the reasons why they may have for the driving in a minute. And there may be some truth in CO2 emissions, but I think the bigger reason, which I'll get into properly in a minute, is all to do with natural resources. When it comes to driving, we can already see this being implemented up and down the country already. We've got ULEZ in London, where if you drive a car of a certain age, you'll be charged an amount of money every single day. Here in Greater Manchester, they're trying to implement, if you drive a van, it'll start with a van, but believe me, it'll move on to cars. If you drive a van under the age of 2016, you'll be charged £10 a day. If you want to go on holiday in your motorhome, you'll be charged even more. So somebody taking out their van what might be a 14 reg, a working class person, will be charged £70 a week on top of their already increasing car insurance, you're already increasing car tax, all in the name of global warming and saving the planet. Now, when it comes to driving, why are they so against us driving? And I think it comes down to freedom. I really do. I think the main reason is the establishment don't want us to have the freedoms that we've always enjoyed. They want us to be a far more obedient people. Take a look at COVID. I'm not going to get into COVID itself, but let's look at what the government did about it. They took our freedoms away. I think it was an experiment to see how we would react the way they reacted to the virus. Now, they turned around and said you was allowed out once a day. You wasn't allowed to drive out anywhere. And what did we do? The majority of us obeyed the government, and we give them the green light, especially people who control the government. I think that's the important people. I don't think people like Boris Johnson and Keir Starmer actually have the authority to implement stuff like this. But they took away our freedoms. So for anybody that doesn't believe that this is what they're going to do with a 15-minute city, we've already got examples in America, in China, and even in the United Kingdom when it comes to COVID-19 on what they did to us. They stopped us living our everyday lives. So we know that they want to control us more. And when it comes to the natural resources, I think there may be an argument to say that rather than the damaging the environment when it comes to fossil fuels, I think the biggest problem might be the amount of resources that they don't tell us we have. And you imagine a world that is uncertain like it is now, and something may happen, let's say a nuclear war or a World War III or anything like that. They may then become very, very valuable. Or let's say there's something else, something more of a natural disaster. Those same people that have bunkers built all around the world, in the United Kingdom, we have hundreds of bunkers and safe places where people like you and me will never see. There may be a time where they believe that if we keep using all these natural resources, there may not be enough for them in such an event, or it may just come down to control. This might just be the first point of many things. First of all, get us in these 15-minute cities, tell us it's in order to save the planet, and then take away more and more restrictions from us. But I think this is the most dangerous thing facing this country, this idea of a 15-minute city. And what scares me more than anything is that a lot of people are buying into the idea, especially students. Because we see already in Oxford a local plan for 2040 what claims Oxford will become a 15-minute city and will be a healthy, inclusive city with strong communities that benefit from equal opportunity for everyone, not only in housing but also for nature, to employment, social, leisure opportunities and healthcare. And that I've just read out is actually from Oxford City Council's own website. So for people who say it's just a conspiracy, this is already happening. And why have they picked Oxford out of anywhere else in the country? Because Oxford is filled with students. The best people to sell this to is the young generation, and especially those who go to university. Let's think about it. You go to university or college, you get digs nearby. You tend to not drive, you tend to be on low income. So the idea of everything being in one area is good for you. So this will empower the establishment when they do this in 2040. They see it work for those people, and then it will be sold to the rest of us. Up north in places like Manchester, Liverpool, down south in the Midlands like Birmingham, and then it will go to a keyword they keep using, urban. It will go to the urban district towns, places like where I'm a councillor in Wigan, and we will all end up within these areas. And do you not think it's a coincidence that at the very same time we're talking about this, the new Prime Minister Keir Starmer is announcing all these new mergers, all these new councils coming together as one, being sold under George Osborne as devolution, being told that it's taking power away from the government and down to the local people, when in fact it's doing the very opposite. It's taking away power, usually from around 10 local councils, which would be representing around about 750 elected councillors, and it's giving the power to one elected mayor, in our case Andy Burnham, in London Sadiq Khan, to control that whole area. So when you start trying to implement things like 15-minute cities, it's a lot easier to get past, because you only need it signed off by the one elected mayor and the leader of each council. And that is what I think is starting to go on. We're seeing all these dots take place. So how can we stop the 15-minute city? So we've already established that they're going to do it in areas where people are most likely for it. The cities where you get lots of students. We already know that the governments we have in place will be for it. We can see the plans coming from this government and the previous government already. And we now see that democracy will be hard to stop it, because the local areas will not have the say that they previously had under this so-called devolution. Well, in my opinion, there's only one option, and it is to elect the only political party that would stop this, which is the Reform UK party. I spoke to many people in Reform UK, and what I can say behind the scenes, they are very, very much against this. They're not saying as much as a lot of people, because let's be honest, it's quite a relatively new thing that people are only just learning about, me included. But the Reform UK party would not implement 15-minute cities. So for me, it's another reason that the only choice we have in order for the Great Britain to be great again, and for us to have our liberties, is to vote a party that is not that of the establishment. And when it's a party that's not the establishment, which is the Cons, Labour and Lib Dems, there's only Reform or the Green Party. And we know with the Green Party, this is right up their alley, let's be honest. So for me, the only chance we've got is to vote Reform at the local elections, if we have them, and then at the general election. And hopefully we can stop this madness and this dictatorship that is taking hold of our once great country. And can I thank everybody for watching, and please ask you to subscribe to the channel and help me get more videos like this out. And I'll see you all in the next video.